Hi, welcome to another Dogpoint podcast. Today we have a special guest, special in every sense of the word. My good friend Aaron Thomas, and we're talking Rottweilers today. So this whole podcast is gonna be about Rotties, my favorite breed, and so I'm super stoked to be here. And thanks for welcoming us in your home. Aaron Thomas. Many years.
Yeah.
Is all I can say.
Yeah.
Many years.
Known each other
Many
for
years.
Many years. Yeah.
We started off as trainer and client, and it has evolved into so much more now.
Yeah.
Right? Also, your journey has evolved tremendously.
Yeah.
From being a Rottweiler owner to one of the premier Rottweiler breeders in TNT. Rather steep as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of development, right? And I actually loved watching it. I loved watching it unfold, and in full disclosure, I have 2 of his dogs home, so I'm super stoked.
Yeah.
This is like,
Yeah.
kid in a candy store here. So let's talk Rottweilers. Tell us a little bit on how did you decide to become a Rottweiler breeder?
Okay. That's a interesting question. Well, first of all, Mark, I want to thank you and Dogpoint for giving me the opportunity on your ever-growing and becoming ever-popular Dogpoint series and program.
Thank you.
I myself really enjoy watching them. They're very informative, and I think it's good coming from a Caribbean nation to an island republic in the South Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago,
Yes.
to be able to
agree.
do something like this. So I want to applaud you and your team for the wonderful work that you all are doing. And I just like my journey, I am encouraged to see how your journey continues with it.
Thank you.
All right. So
flattered now.
getting to your question, with Rottweilers and me becoming a breeder for Rottweilers. I got my first Rottie in 2004. All right, 2003, 2004, around that time. Locally bred a fella, got him for a steal of a deal price at the time. I was fascinated with Rottweilers even before I got my first Rottweiler. My first experience or my first interaction with a Rottweiler, and I don't know if this story resonates with anybody, but actually while I was a teenager, I grew up in Diego Martin. We are in Diego Martin right now. And I grew up further north in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking with a group of my peers who were teenagers at the point in time. And we were walking through a development called Blue Range in Diego Martin. There is a spring called Spring Flow that as teenagers we would go visit the spring. After visiting the spring and just taking a nice little spring bath, all right, and walking back home, in Blue Range, a lot of the people had purebred dogs, and
Okay.
at this point in time, remember we're young guys walking, pretty rambunctious, noisy. We walked past this house and the gate was open, only to realize that there was a Rottweiler in the yard,
Can
and
you
Mr.
imagine where that
Rottweiler decides that, okay, these rambunctious people passing my house, let me go investigate. And he came out sprinting towards us. It was a sight to behold. And as usual, as any trainee would do at the point in time, the first instinct is to run, right? And I remembered. I started running, but then I remembered from previous experiences and knowledge that I had at the time, sometimes it's worse to run because you
Definitely.
yeah because you get the dog into even a more prey mode. You trigger the prey drive into the dog by running. So what I decided when the group was running, I slowed down and then I stopped to a dead halt. So the first person that this Rottweiler met was me. Now, it was a very interesting, a very scary moment. But what amazed me was the intelligence of the dog. When I stopped, the dog didn't. What you could tell it was a very confident dog. He came, he smelled my feet, he looked up at me, he made a circle around me, and then he watched the other guys running and said, they have more fun than I was. And he chased after them. So I got away.
You weren't as tasty.
Yeah. But seeing the dog close up, I was in admiration and in awe of the physical structure, the big head, the dark eyes, certain features that just stood out to me. And although I was in fear, I was also in awe. So that was my first Rottweiler experience. And then years afterward, I got my first Rottweiler in 2003. And that was a nice experience, nice dog and everything. However, he was a bit afraid of loud noises. Okay. And we have Diwali, which is a Hindu celebration.
Lots of fireworks.
Lots of fireworks at that time. And during this fireworks celebration, I was taking him for a walk. Actually, it was in the twilight, not in the evening time. And there wasn't any fireworks going up, but we have what we call the bursting of the bamboo, where people would take bamboo and make it like a cannon and make loud noises. And I noticed the closer we got to it, the more reserved he got, and then it turned into fear, right?
Right.
And I was very curious why such a robust dog would become fearful of loud noises. So I was wondering why that would happen. And as it piqued my curiosity, I started to research more on the breed. And in researching, I realized that a lot of it had to do with proper breeding, proper testing in breeding and everything. And not too long after that, a few years after that, I actually got my first Rottweiler from German stock. And since then, I've returned back. Yes, Chewy. That's Chewy. All right. And he was a totally different dog.
The one who started it.
The one who started it. He was a totally different dog to the local Rottweiler. I mean, was like chalk and cheese when it came to temperament.
Yeah, he was a little hot under the collar.
Yeah.
I remember that. He
yeah. So
didn't like the idea of anybody being too close to you.
Yeah. So that aroused in my curiosity. It aroused my curiosity, and then in research, it prompted me into wanting to make for Trinidad and Tobago a better dog for people, right. And that's why I breed. I breed to better what we have here in the country.
That's really what breeding is all about, right?
Yeah.
People oftentimes believe, like, I have a female, you have a male, they look alike, it's sell some puppies. Breeding is not really about making money.
No. No, it isn't.
Any breeder that breeds at a decent level will tell you, you don't make money with this.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that can happen to the litter. There's so many things, so many costs associated with getting stock to breed from.
Yeah.
Right? It's not really a dollar's game.
Nope.
Not if it's done correctly.
Correct. Yes.
Not if it's done correctly, right? Yeah. The idea is always supposed to be that the puppies come out better than the parents. That is really the aim.
The aim.
And that is not always easy to achieve.
No, it isn't.
Especially if you have good parents.
Correct.
To improve on them, it can be a tricky thing because now you're already at a high level and now it's this little thing that you want.
Yeah, correct.
This little, you're just a little better in this category alone.
Yeah.
And you have almost the perfect dog. Yeah. And to achieve this is really difficult. You can have 10 litters missing it.
Yeah.
Before it comes out right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. and that's why it's not really.
Yeah. And another thing, in speaking with breeders, other breeders, a lot of people confess that the Rottweiler is one of the most difficult breeds to breed, because, well, one of the reasons is that um, once you're breeding at a pretty high level or at an international level, you need to follow the breed standard for the dog,
Right.
right? And in following the breed standard for the dog, that really changes the ball game.
There's a lot of detail in that
Yeah.
standard. There's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
In my association with you and working with you and with your dogs, when I see or come across Rottweilers that clients have, oftentimes it's because of you. I'm taking one look at this dog and it's like, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to then block that out because I have to deal with the dog in front of me in order to train it
Yeah.
and not let that influence
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the things in terms of drive are obviously influencing training.
Yeah.
There's limitations. If a dog does not have this drive or that drive, there's limitations as to what I can do in training with the dog,
Correct.
right? But the optical aspects of it,
Yeah.
I cannot let those
Correct.
be a determinant factor in what I do with the dog in terms of training,
Yeah.
But you can't shake it.
Yeah.
You can't, as a trainer, you're exposed to so many dogs so many times, and so you look at a dog and like, okay, what did I get myself into with this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
What can or can I not expect from this dog?
Yeah.
And then I always do the best with what I have in front of me,
Yeah.
and try and get the dog as close as possible to the goal that the owner had set out for the training.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
There comes the point where I say, okay, this dog is not going further than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you want to go further, it gets really hard on the dog. Do you really want to do that? Or is it better, you fulfill that particular goal with another dog?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can also comes, sometimes it can become a financial decision for the owner as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, you want this and this with this dog, but he's missing some of the genetics to make that happen.
Right.
And training cannot alter genetics. I cannot put something into the dog because
That is
you
not
want
there.
it.
Yeah.
So there is limitations in terms of the dog in front of you. So the better the quality of the dog, the more we can do with the dog.
Correct. Yep.
Right? A dog that's fearless, is confident, has strong nerves, and has high prey and food drive. There is no limit.
Yep.
What you can do with this dog. But if the dog doesn't have really prey drive, and yes, I don't think I've ever met a Rottweiler that doesn't have food drive.
Yeah.
But
that's rare. Extremely rare.
But he is skittish.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to do something new with the dog,
Yeah.
he's afraid and pulls back and says, "What you're trying to do here?"
Yeah.
And then I have to spend a lot of time regaining his trust and
Trust,
say, "Okay,
yeah.
just go with the flow here."
Yeah.
And do my best. But then the moment he's presented with that challenge outside of the training session, he's gonna pull back again.
Yeah.
Because his genetics won't allow him to be confident about new things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that quickly can become an issue.
Yeah.
So the better the breeding in the dog, the better everything else becomes.
Right. Correct. Correct.
And I'm dealing with a lot of these dogs that where the genetics are watered down, and it's troublesome to work with.
Right. So you'd realize, like in a country like ours in Trinidad and Tobago, and I dare say for the entire globe, all right, worldwide, you'll find it probably all over the world. First of all, the Rottweiler, people who generally like the Rottweiler, fall in love with the breed, they tend to like the looks first. That's the first thing. It is the stature, the size of the dog, the head, the color. It's a black dog with tan or mahogany markings. So the look of the dog attracts a lot of people. First of all, well, people who like the Rottweiler, right? It's first of all about the look, and the problem that you have is that, and nothing is wrong in thinking that your dog is the best dog in the world. I have no problems with anybody who wants to think that their dog is the best dog in the world. But the fact is, right, your feeling about your dog is subjective, all right? The only way you can improve on any breed or on any program is by testing, all right? And in a country like Trinidad, we are very limited in that respect. We're very, very limited with testing the stock that we have. And I'm seeing changes, and I hope that the changes continue, right, that I'm seeing. But we're still a long way from where we need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Testing is the only way to really find out if a working dog is a working dog.
Correct.
You know, just because a dog is a certain breed doesn't make it a working dog.
Yeah.
That is the reality, right? And as a trainer, I come across that all the time. You know, people get a dog and believe because it's a Rottweiler, it now will do this, that, and the other.
Yep.
And then you take a look at the dog and you spend a half hour with the dog and you tell him, okay, he can do this and this, but not that. And then you get your face drop.
Yeah.
You see the disappointment in people's faces, and then you try to explain it further, you know, but it doesn't make the disappointment go away.
Nope. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
say, okay,
Yeah.
you know, the cure for that is research.
Yeah.
You know, research not only the breed, but research your breeders.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
see if they have you know, competed with the dog. Are they taking part in anything with the dog? Do they do anything with the dog other than have it home in a kennel?
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
and then and so you can see if a breeder is working with their dog and you see videos of the dog working. Okay, I can take a look at this, and they seem to be confident. They seem to be doing it. They seem to want to work.
Yeah.
And that becomes then a criteria as, okay, this is one in the closer selection.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then there's people that, as you say, people like the looks of a dog. And in Trinidad, people like a big dog.
Correct.
And then there's
That's
those
exactly.
that shamelessly exploit that.
Yeah.
And breed something that is outside of the breed standard in terms of size,
And
because they know people like a big dog, and then try to make it something special,
yeah.
even though it's outside of the breed standard,
Yep.
by calling it something different. And then we have this term in Trinidad for those who are not living in this country called a king rod.
Ah.
And
oh boy.
The hair raises in my neck just saying the word,
Yeah.
because it is a pet peeve of mine. It irks me no end that, you know, people to take a term, coin a term to promote the wrong thing. If it's outside the breed standard, it's outside the breed standard and shouldn't be.
Yeah.
The breed standard is there for a reason, because it makes for a sound dog.
Yep.
Yeah? And so those overly large dogs, they're very clumsy in how they move oftentimes. And again, you take one look at the dog and say, okay, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so,
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine, if it irks me as a trainer,
Yeah. Yeah. As a breeder, boy.
and I'm not a breeder, right?
Yeah.
I just love Rottweilers. I can imagine what's going on in your head when somebody asks you if your dogs are king rods.
Well, a few years ago, I had, you know, Nesta. Nesta is a dog I imported from Falcon.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah,
beautiful.
I was at the airport when he came in with you.
Yeah. Yeah. A beautiful male Rottweiler. Very, very impressive specimen. And I was walking him on St. Lucian Road at the time in Diego Martin. And a guy came up to me and he said, "Wow, that's a king rot." And of course, I try my best to not react with a facial expression that shows contempt.
You better than me.
And I said, I said with a smile, I said, no, this is a Rottweiler. There's really nothing, there's nothing like a king rot. And he proceeded to correct me and educate me at that point in time. And this is what he said. He said what. And for those who not in who are watching the podcast and they're not in Trinidad, forgive if I go off with my Trini accent a bit. But this is what he said. What you telling me? That is not a king rot? Boy, my uncle had king rots long time, boy. My uncle had real king rots. And I know what a king rot is. And I telling you that is a king rot. So when it reaches to that stage, there's a saying that says, well, ignorance is bliss. It is folly to be wise. So I realized the ignorance was bliss then, and I just acceded to what he said and went on my merry way. But that shows the level sometimes people are willing to go with their ignorance. And a lot of people locally, they tend to get their education from others. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
And it persists so much. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm in this country 25 years. And I've tried for 25 years to tell people there's no such thing as a king rod.
Yeah.
And it's still around.
Yep.
The term is still around.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that with the onset of social media and podcasts, that we reach more people and, stamp this out once and for all. There is no breed standard anywhere in the world talking about a king rod.
Correct.
It does not exist. It was the imagination and the invention of somebody who had oversized dogs.
Yep. Correct. All right. And also, again, we will hear, I guess, in the podcast, we'll always refer back to the breed standard. All right.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too technical in the podcast, so I probably wouldn't quote much of the breed standard. It's there. Actually, anybody who's interested in the Rottweiler breed standard, I recommend that they check the Rottweiler Trinidad and Tobago Club official club page on Facebook. It's one of the featured articles in the Rottweiler Club's page on Facebook, where you could access the breed standard and see what it says. But back to the breed standard. The breed standard allows for a limit, right? Just as you correctly said. What is the maximum and what is the minimum for the breed? And in the breed standard, it says that the Rottweiler is a medium to large, stalwart dog.
Not a large to giant.
Yeah, not a large to giant. All right. So at the end of the day, a Rottweiler is a Rottweiler. This thing about king rot or any other terminology that people would like to use, at the end of the day, the Rottweiler is a Rottweiler. There are those that match the breed standard closer than others. That's the difference.
That is an understatement of the year. I've seen some Rottweilers that they would come closer to the breed standard of an overweight Doberman.
Yeah.
Than a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
And that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
So I've seen some Rottweilers that are more Mastiff.
Yep. Correct.
Than a Rottweiler.
Right.
So you have the two extremes.
Right.
And the real Rottweiler is somewhere in between.
Right.
Really and truly. And more importantly, the mindset of the Rottweiler is somewhat unique to its breed, I find.
Correct. Yeah.
The combination of power, nerve, and courage is, in a well-bred Rottweiler, the most outstanding feature.
Yep. It is.
And I see it every day when I look at Force.
Yep.
One head, one guard.
Yeah.
The dog I got from you, nothing shakes him. I've tried for 2 years to try and find something that scares him, and I've come up empty.
Yeah.
He just doesn't scare. And he's not, taken aback by something easily. He's just, anytime I take him to a new place, he owns it. He has never been in the ocean or in a river before. I took him to Marian River and he was happy-go-lucky hopping around in the water.
Yep. Yeah.
He didn't care. He was just having fun.
Yeah.
You know, and coming off the pickup and into the sand, and he has never been walking in sand before.
Yeah.
Nothing threw him off.
Yeah. And from
He was just excited.
well, Mark, you know, I handpicked that puppy for you, right?
Yes.
From the whelping box, I'm not surprised with how he turned out, because from the whelping box I could have assessed him and knew that he would have turned out into a dog like that, because he showed it since then. And that's another difference with breeders and breeders. A breeder that really knows his stuff could watch a puppy at the age of 5 and 6 weeks, and he doesn't have to be 100% correct, but he could tell with a very high percentage the way that puppy might turn out. All right. One of the things that a lot of people who purchase puppies from me, one of the things they always tell me is that, Aaron, how did you know that this puppy would have turned out the way he did, or this puppy was the type of puppy that I wanted, would have fit well with me? And that's a very interesting question. And the reason for that is if anybody comes to me for a puppy, I'm not the type of breeder that advertise, all right? That would say puppies for sale and everything like that. I mean, thank God I've never had. Well, I don't breed often. That's number one. And I've never had that amount of litters where I have to say, I need this dog sold, or as the case may be.
It's more the other way around.
Yeah, I have a lot of people who would want puppies from me. And anybody who comes to me for a puppy would know that there are some hoops and some hurdles you have to go through and jump over before you can get a puppy, all right? And in going through those hoops and going over those hurdles, that's why I assess the person, and then I look at the temperament of the puppy from the whelping box, from the genetics that I have, and I said, okay, this one will fit this one. And even in a litter of puppy, and I breed, so I use a lot of line breeding, all right? So I breed close genetics, okay? Mm-hmm. It's not too widespread, all right? And even in that, there are differences in temperament.
Oh yeah, he's in many ways different from his siblings.
Yeah, correct.
You know. By the way, he still watches TV.
Okay.
And not just what I like about him is it's not just watching at the screen. He gets involved in the story.
Yeah.
So if the main character in a show gets pushed or hit, in a cop show or anything, he gets upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gets upset and he walks up to the TV and he growls at the person that hit him. Yeah. It's amazing to watch. This dog is actually involved in the story.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen that before in a dog.
Yeah.
To have that mental capacity to actually look at something on the TV and not just bark because he sees a dog. I've seen that many times before, but actually to be involved in a story. Somebody moving around kind of suspicious, and he's, he gets up, he growls. He's like, "What you doing?" Because he finds the behavior suspicious.
Yeah, yeah.
That it's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he has with racing, but he loves to watch a Formula One race.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
F1.
Yeah, he will look at the whole thing and just. I don't know if it's the noise but he's fascinated by it.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he hears them engines scream and he's like all engrossed in it.
Yeah.
But in other things, he's so predictable.
Yeah.
I know the things that could trigger him. And lo and behold, every time the trigger comes, I say, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. And then he growls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And but you also know what he is not gonna do.
Yep. Yeah.
So with that you can develop a certain amount of trust with the dog. When you say, no, he's going to be fine. How you know? I just know.
Yeah.
I know my dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's not going to be startled or afraid of it. I said, no.
Oh, yeah.
No. You know, I take him to someplace new, and he just owns it. He just walks in and says,
Yep. That's right.
you know,
And
and as if he's coming there for years.
yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that I've realized locally with Rottweilers, for example, we had 2 confirmation shows last year after not having confirmation shows for a while, right? The Rottweiler Club had one at the beginning of September, and the Trinidad and Tobago Kennel Club had another at the end of October. And that was one of the things I noticed in the shows that, and so a lot of people ask me, and this is more like, I guess, what you would call the working people would ask me, if the dogs I breed are working line, right? And that is actually a very interesting topic for a Rottweiler, right? This question of working line and show line, all right? Really and truly, at the end of the day, the Rottweiler is supposed to be both.
Yeah.
The Rottweiler is a dog that's supposed to be able to stand up in the confirmation ring. And in Germany, you've heard this a lot, that the dog will be in the confirmation ring on the Saturday, all right, in a Sieger show. And then on the Sunday, the dog will be out there performing in a Schutzhund trial, all right, the very next day.
It's a working dog that can show.
Exactly. That's exactly
in
what
that
it
order.
is, right? And the style of showing that we've had in Trinidad and Tobago is basically like the Westminster style show, the English/American style, where you run around the ring and you stack the dog and everything. And I appreciate that there is a technique to it. You know, I've learned the technique and everything, but it's not my preference. And the reason for that is it does not show the true temperament of the dog. And I've seen dogs in those styles of shows. I've seen dogs with what I would call, and I'm sure anybody who is into working their dogs would call weak temperament, right? Not necessarily that they're skittish, but you can tell that the temperament is not strong in the dog. Do well because it's a well-conformed dog, all right, that has the right angulations, and when you set up the dog looks good, all right, on the setup. But the essence of the dog, the what makes the dog, so it comes down to the debate that we have with form and function, right? That form always follows function, meaning that function is always the premier thing, all right?
Yeah. Especially in
Dog must be able to function, and the form follows it, right? Form and function, it comes down to that argument. And that's why I prefer the German Sieger style or the European Sieger style shows.
with the double handling.
With the double handling, you see the dog in its essence, and the dog stacks naturally. So the
and
judges,
pushes out
the chest
and
head up,
Yep.
yeah. And the dog presents himself
naturally,
right?
not manually.
Yeah, correct. So while I appreciate that style, the American and / the English style of showing, I appreciate and I know it's an art and everything like that. My preference is the Sieger style shows, and the reason for that, it shows the temperament of the dog a lot better than those shows. Full stop. Yeah.
And those dogs want to work. I mean, our audience knows from the early videos that he had an injury and he had an operation. So he cannot really work at the moment. And I had a mini, very light training session with him a few days ago. And you could see how happy he was, even before we got there. just being in the car, and he looks at his surroundings, said, I think I know where we're going.
Yeah.
And with that, his whole demeanor changed. And then when he was out there, and we filmed some of it, so we might have it in a video later on. But how he behaved, putting 100% into it.
Yep.
And of course, because of the long rest and a lot of time in AC, he got hot really quickly. So we couldn't have the session too long. But what he gave was 100%.
Yeah.
And because that's what he wants to do. He lives for that.
Yep.
And I rewarded. I can't throw the ball for him too far, for him to build up too much speed yet. So I used the tug.
Yeah.
Oh boy, did he have fun pulling on that. And pulling and growling and almost got carried away with himself.
Yeah.
And then he catch himself because he was growling after I let it go. And then he caught himself, he looked at me and he sat, to make up for it. And when I told him aus, he immediately dropped it. And I could take it from right under him.
Yeah.
Because he was getting into this possessiveness, you can't get it. And then he remembered that is not really what I want. It was like, okay.
Yep.
Once I give the aus command.
Yeah.
If I just reach for it.
Yeah.
But no, with the command, he free access.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately. And he hasn't done anything in months.
Yeah.
So, and he's still maturing. So it's, at first, and then let's see where that goes. Because when they're now mature and they had a long break from training, they tend to go a little overboard.
Yeah.
And I was prepared for it, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
He was clear enough in his head to not let that happen.
Yep.
He's almost there, but stopped himself in time.
And you use a term there that is essential for the Rottweiler that is also lacking in some of the dogs. Clear in the head. All right. My mentor breeder, as a lot of people know, is in Belgium, and that's Julian Wieschteke of the Falcon's Nest Kennel. And he is very big on that with his dogs, and you can tell from the type of dogs that he has produced. He's very big on the dogs being clear in the head, because and what does that mean? What if anybody wonders what we're talking about? What is this clear in the head? Clear in the head is that the dog is strong, the dog is in drive, the dog is very powerful and everything. But the dog is clear enough to know that you are in control and you are the leader, and it's clear enough to allow you to lead. All right? Where it becomes tricky is when you have dogs that are a little more testy or a little more nervy, all right? And they're not as clear in the head. And then we have the problems where people being mauled to death, because the dogs are basically that. They're not clear in the head.
Yeah.
It's not clear dogs.
And how I like to test it over and over is recall going into a bark and hold.
Yeah.
So I'm calling him with the tug, raise up the tug. Now, naturally, he would want to go after it, but then I cover it with my hand completely.
Yeah.
I don't hide it. I just put my hand over the bite area. And that is when it drops into the sit immediately, knowing that, okay, I can't go for it. So even though he comes with full drive and full anticipation of getting it, he can stop himself in the last second and sit. And then I just raise it a bit and ask him for the bark and hold.
Yeah.
And then he starts barking. And when he goes in a nice rhythm, I just slide the hands on the tug to the outside and raise it a little bit and give him access.
Right.
And then he immediately comes and takes.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we play a game of tug as a reward.
Yeah.
And I can do this 20 times. And 20 times he gets it right.
Yeah. Yep.
Because he's clear. He understands. When the hands go over it, you can't take it.
Yeah.
I know many other dogs that I've trained that would have bitten me by going after the tug and bite my hand. They don't care that the hand is over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the difference. That is why a dog in adrenaline in drive can make those split-second decisions and get them right.
Yeah.
That's when you know a dog is clear in the head.
Correct. And it's something that's essential, especially for a powerful breed like the Rottweiler. Very, 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 very important. All right. And again, Mark, it all comes down to testing. You have to be able to test for that. And again, so the mother country for the Rottweiler is Germany. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother country. Right. And the Germans, they formulated a way to test their breeding stock. That's why they're always producing top dogs. Year come, year go. The Germans tend to always be on top.
Testing. It's year round.
Yeah.
They test.
And they test the dogs. They test the dogs in conformation. They test the dogs in temperament. Right? They have the sociability test, which is the BH that they do. So for a dog to be able to breed in Germany, to be considered a breeding specimen, all right, the dog has to have its BH, and then the dog also has to have the ZTP, right?
Zuchttauglichkeitsprüfung.
Thank you. Yeah, I know what it is, but I can't pronounce it properly. Right? So thanks for that. Right? So the ZTP,
a breed, for those who don't know, is a breed suitability test.
Yeah, it's a breed suitability test or a breed survey test, right? And it's a test that tests each and every aspect of the breed standard. That's what people don't realize. Yeah. So there are measurements for the dog. They measure the dog to make sure that that dog is within the measurements and the breed standard, right? So the dog is measured. The dog is also temperament tested with people to check the sociability to make sure the nerves are intact and everything. And the dog is also tested in temperament and working ability, all right? And protection. That's
and tested without gunshots as well.
Yep. With loud gunshots and everything, and that's why I migrated
on and off leash,
and that's why I migrated to the German dogs, because remember my story about my first Rottweiler, all right, that I found very strange that he was afraid of loud noises, and then I realized that it's highly unlikely you're gonna find German dogs like that, because part of their testing over years has been for noise. For noise reaction. Yeah.
When he was almost a year old, was his first all year's night.
Yeah.
I had to wake him up during fireworks.
Yeah.
To take him outside to see how he behaves with fireworks.
Yeah.
I had to wake him up.
Yeah.
Because he was sleeping right through it.
Yeah.
He couldn't be bothered. I come outside with him and he looks up. Yeah, whatever. Here's the Kong toy, let's play.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wanted to work. That's all he could think about. It's like, okay, dropped it by my feet and let's do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he was thinking about. While this is going, all this craziness is going on.
Right. Yep. And your listeners or your viewers, a person might be looking at and saying, these guys talking about all this testing. Why is that so important, man? You know, once I have a dog that looks good and he looking like if he could. So, for example, Mark, a dog that rushes the gate and is intimidating as the gate, does that necessarily mean that dog is protective?
No.
No, it doesn't.
I have a story for that one.
Yeah.
We were training 2 German Shepherds in Waldsee. Well, I was doing obedience with them. And the owner said he wants some protection with them. Now, I could tell by how the dogs behave, we can test them, but I'm not too sure they will be up to the task.
Yeah.
Was really poor genetics in that sense, in terms of temperament, right? So the decoy is outside the gate, attracting the dogs. And they're barking, they're growling, they're snarling, the hackles race, and you would swear they want to kill him. I said, all right, I put one in the kennel, put the other one on the leash, and tell the owner, open the gate. And the gate opened. And now their safety barrier was gone.
Yeah.
And the dog was hiding behind my legs, pulling backwards on the leash.
Yep.
trying to push me in front and say, hey, there is somebody. You deal with that, right?
Yep. Same dog that was getting on like a
He
criminal.
pulled himself out of the collar
Yeah.
and joined his brother in the kennel.
Yep. Yep.
Tried to break into the kennel,
Yep. Yep.
you know. So what you would see at the gate and what the dog actually gonna do are two different things.
Right. And that is a reflection again of genetics, right? So in breeding we have the terms phenotype, which is the look of the dog, and the genotype, meaning what the dog, the substance, what the dog is actually made of, what is in the dog's head, you know?
I remember Chewy
Yeah.
lying down on your porch and somebody come into the gate and he would just lie down there and watch him.
Yeah. Correct.
And the person saying, but he's not bad.
Yeah.
And I'm, having worked with the dog, scratching my head. It's like, hey, you go ahead and think so.
Yeah.
Because I know what the dog is capable of.
Yep.
You know, but it's not a threat to him.
Yeah. And
He's just lying down there confidently watching and say, yeah, come inside.
And when people come to me, all right, my dogs don't bark. They assess, all right? A lot of the times people have to use their phone, right? And call me. A lot of the times that's what they have to do. They have to make a call to find out if it is that am I wrong, because the dogs are not barking, right? And they find that why your dogs don't bark much. Well, first of all, I couldn't have as much dogs as I have in an area because I live in a suburban area, right? And I couldn't. For example, a lot of people ask me why if I like the German Shepherd. A German Shepherd is a lovely breed. It's a fascinating breed. I always say that. Even in Malinois, I love to see them work. But why I choose the Rottweiler, for me, and this is for me personally,
Less
above
noise.
those breeds, is less noise. That's the big seller for me with the Rottweiler. They are so much less noise.
We are here now
Yeah.
for a while
Yeah.
because we took some time to set up and all that. I think I've heard 2 dogs bark since I came here.
Yeah.
Out of,
Out of 11.
goes to show you,
Yeah.
you know.
All right.
Out of my 3 dogs, 2 are Rottweilers. The noisiest one is the Shepherd,
Yep. Yep.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are certain advantages, and again, it comes down to everyone's personal preference at the end of the
Yes.
day. So, for example, if my ambition was to compete at the IGP World Championships, for example, or another international Schutzen event or IGP event, I would not choose a Rottweiler. And people might say, "What?" Be surprised.
Yeah. but
And
it's-
and the reason for that is I am already beginning with a dog that is behind a little bit in comparison to the German Shepherd and the Malinois in those fields, in that sporting field. And the reason for that is that once you get into the sport, you're going to realize that there's a certain finesse that gets you more points, and that the Rottweiler just structurally it cannot give you that, because it's all about power.
yes, they do everything with power.
Yeah, it's power.
Everything.
It's,
Everything
it's
is
all
power
about
with
power.
a Rottweiler.
Yeah,
They don't do anything easy.
yeah, yeah,
Everything is weight and power.
yeah,
Every time my dogs run over the lawn,
yeah,
I can hear the grass rip under their feet. The roots. They're ripping grass roots.
yeah,
Because everything is power. With Ninja, my German Shepherd that I had from Roger, he would be lightning fast. But you don't hear him run.
yeah,
He's very light-footed.
Yeah.
Right? Not with those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys, you know they're coming.
yep, correct.
You know?
Yeah,
And it's also what I like about Rottweilers. They're a bullyish strong, sometimes even pig-headed
Yep. Yep.
dog
Can be. Mhm.
that as a trainer, I like the little challenge every now and again.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
little test of will.
Exactly.
You know, if
Yeah.
a dog is too compliant,
Yeah.
it's a little boring for me.
Yeah. Correct.
So I kind of like a dog that
Yeah.
where he tries something and I tell it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
you know, and I enjoy that.
And
And
Rottweilers will test your leadership skills.
all the time.
All right. And that's why it's not a breed for everyone.
Definitely, that is actually if you didn't touch it, that is
Yeah.
something that I wanted to touch on
Yeah.
in this. There's a lot of people that have this breed that really and truly
Shouldn't.
shouldn't have it.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
If you're naturally not a person that is inclined to correct a dog when necessary, do not
Have
get
a
a
Rottweiler.
Rottweiler,
Agreed.
because that dog will see you as a pushover.
Yes.
That dog will push and push and push, and if you don't give him pushback, that dog will be in charge one day and growl at you or maul you.
Yep.
And that is something that you have to have a certain mindset, a certain characteristics in your genetic makeup to successfully own a Rottweiler.
Yep.
Just how the dog has to have certain genetics, you know, as the handler, you have to have some of that. And it's not necessarily about power or size. Not at all. I know women that handle Rottweilers like a boss.
Yep.
And
There are many.
And
Yeah.
they're barely 100 pounds.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
That's true.
It is all about the mental
Yeah.
attitude
Yep.
in which you deal with the dog, in which you treat the dog, train the dog, live with the dog.
Yeah.
That decides all of that.
Yeah.
It's not pound for pound force, you know. And oftentimes, because of our crime situation, people want a powerful guard dog.
Correct.
And it's similar with the mastiffs, right? A lot of people get mastiffs and then call for help because for a year the dog was a sweetheart,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden shows the true colors, and they realize that dog is above their skill level,
Yeah.
and now they get afraid of their own dog,
Yeah.
you know. And it's a really serious issue for me, because so yeah, I can train the dog and the dog will respect me,
Yeah.
and because he doesn't have a choice,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then the dog behaves when I'm there,
Yeah.
but the moment I walk out of the gate and the dog has to depend on the leadership that they provide, it all goes out the window.
Correct.
And then when I come back, the dog is on his best behavior, and I hear all the horror stories from what happened between the two training sessions.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? And I always try to tell people, if you do what I do, you will get the same results.
Yeah.
If you do what you do,
Yeah.
you won't.
Correct. Yep.
Right? You have to behave a certain way if you want to have a powerful dog. For that dog to respect you, the dog must know that you could be bigger and more bad than he is.
Correct. Correct. And you need
And
to
if he
have
doesn't get that vibe from you,
Yeah.
he is not gonna take you on.
Yeah.
That dog is he will be nice when it suits him. He'll be very nice with you for as long as he gets treats and hug ups and kisses and pet ups, and he'll be very nice. But the moment he wants to swallow that mango and you tell him no,
No. I need like
and he's looking at you
Yeah.
and
you stop me now.
Since when you deciding that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yep.
even force, right?
Yep.
Your little neighbor has the starch mangoes, right? So he picks it up, but he knows he's not supposed to have it. So he comes with it, and you could see the little green
Yeah.
sticking out, right?
Yeah.
So he watches you, and the ear's flat back because he knows he doesn't get to keep it.
Yeah.
And then he lies down and says, "Ows,"
Yeah.
drops the head. Still doesn't release it because he really wants it. So he squeezes it a little bit to get at least some of the juice. Ows. Force. He spits it out and he looks at you all submissive. And then I take it. I praise him for letting it go. I distract him with something and then pelt it
Yeah. Yeah.
so that he can't swallow the seed.
Yep.
Because he will swallow it.
Yeah.
The others, they don't. they would just eat around it and leave the seat. But
Yeah.
he would, if you give him a chance.
Yeah. And that's dangerous. Yeah.
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 So I always take it away from him.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a little game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little game. I don't expect him.
It's a game
No,
of wills.
Yeah, I don't expect him to just one out and he just drops it.
Yeah.
Because a little bit of possessiveness is healthy for a Rottweiler, right?
Correct.
So it's a bit of a give and take,
Correct.
you know?
Yeah.
Because I know at the end he will let it go
Yeah.
and I'll get it.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
But I play this game with him a little bit,
Yeah.
you know? Now, if it's a truck toy and we training, no, once.
Yeah.
And you better let it go.
Yeah.
But something like this, because he comes with it, you know, he brings it because he knows he has to give it up. So he's halfway there already, right? Knowing that, okay, I don't get to keep it. That's already in his mind, but he enjoys the little tug, the little back and forth between him and myself.
Yeah.
And I do too.
Yeah.
I enjoy that too with him. And it's kind of fun, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't see the need to fully dominate him over that.
No.
You know.
And that, so
Because
so,
I don't want to break him. You know, it's
so in training terms and even in the rod circles, you'll hear this phrase: "Be firm but fair."
yes.
Yeah. And that's what you need to be with the Rottweiler. You need to be firm and let them know, hey, enough is enough, right?
Right.
But fair in that you could. There's room there for him to be him.
Yeah, a little
To
give
be,
and take,
yeah,
you know.
you know, and to strike that balance. And that's another thing I realized with the Rottweiler. Even in the breed standard, even in conformation and in temperament, the word balance comes up a lot. It's a very balanced dog, right? For the ratio for the body, for example, all right, it's slightly longer than taller, a ratio of 9 to 10, right? The dog is almost square.
Almost square, yeah.
Yeah, he's almost
And I've
square.
seen some Rottweilers that are long like
Yeah,
shepherds.
that long in the body, you know. So and these are things again. Once you start, I don't expect people to know this off the bat. You have to get into the breed. Now, if the Rottweiler is a dog that you love, I expect you to get further and get the knowledge. All right, but I know there are other people who just like the Rottweiler because they like dogs. They're dog lovers out there, and the Rottweiler is a dog, and they have a Rottweiler for that case. And there's nothing wrong with that. The issue that I have is people like that being breeders because they have no knowledge of what is right. They have no, if they don't have none, let's say very little, if so much, and just because, as I said, they love their dog and they have another pretty dog. All right, I get these messages sometimes on a daily basis. I have a king rot. I have a male king rot. If you know anybody with a female, you can point me in their direction, you know, and you get these things, and for a breeder like me, you know, sometimes the polite thing to do is actually not to respond, because
or something that I do a lot, respond with the breed standard.
Or respond with the breed standard.
Just
Yeah.
posting a link to the
Yeah.
breed standard.
Yeah. And let people follow it, you know, let people know
Because
about
anybody
it.
who's honest enough and reads it will realize that what is written there and what they're talking about is two different things.
Yep. And in this day and age, Mark, we are without excuse. The information is now at our fingertips. You know, we are without excuse. And it's right there for us, right?
Yeah.
And in saying that, I also want to be very, again, balanced in my approach. It also doesn't mean that a breeder that has been breeding for years and knows the breed standard and everything is going to breed perfect dogs every time. It just doesn't happen
No, it doesn't
like
happen
that.
like that.
You know, it doesn't happen like that. You know, there are times that they may encounter, because that's just the way genetics work, right? They may encounter faulty dogs in their breeding program, right?
Yeah.
But a responsible breeder would not use a faulty dog in his or her breeding program.
Yes.
That's the difference.
You can have a puppy come out with faults
Yeah,
with 2 good dogs that very close to the breed standard.
correct.
That can happen.
Yeah,
But a good breeder wouldn't knowingly
yes,
use an inferior dog and breed with it.
correct.
You know, at least they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. Yeah, we'll
Not
say it
saying,
like
not
that.
saying there is not people that do that.
All right. So
But yeah, it's sometimes baffling
yeah,
how much time people would spend on social media for everything,
yeah,
and how little time they would research when they want to get a dog
correct.
as to what breed is right for them, what sex in the breed is right for them.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
one of the
does
things.
it fit their lifestyle?
Yeah.
All those things. There is almost zero research done.
But one of the things I realize with people in here locally is that they want you to tell them, you know, they want to get it. They want to get it that you told them this, right? But unless it's somebody you know very well and can trust, you cannot trust what you hear from breeders. That you don't know, that you haven't done any research on. You cannot trust exactly what they say. And then in Trinidad, we don't have as I said, the amount of testing that they have in Europe and even North America. We don't have that here in the Caribbean as much. So I heard you were talking about a dog that looks closer to a Doberman than a Rottweiler.
Overweight Doberman.
An overweight Doberman than a Rottweiler. So the technical term that we use in breeding is atypical. All right. So that's an atypical dog. All right. And that has been a problem in Trinidad with a lot of breeders. I can remember speaking to people, and they said that they said, I don't want my Rottweiler looking like a Doberman, meaning and in the breed standard it says neither leggy nor weedy, right? That's the words that they use in the breed standard for it. Okay, and so you have people getting dogs that look like this and wondering when they go back to the breeder, they see probably a very robust male, all right? Or they see a robust female and they don't show you the male, you know, and they wonder why it is my dog doesn't look like, as I said, it doesn't look like the parents, all right? Why it doesn't do that? And again, it's because the breeders are not ethical. You have no idea what happened there, you know. I've heard some very, very some harsh horror stories about breeders.
Disturbing stuff.
Very disturbing stuff.
Disturbing stuff.
About breeding locally here in Trinidad. So all that sort of distrust. What puts that to rest a bit, again, is standards. Right? It's standards and testing and all that stuff.
And continuously educating people.
Yeah. Correct, which is what Dogpoint is doing.
Yes, we to the point of almost to a fault.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is there are things perceptions that people have that we need to change. Right? Somebody sees force and say, but he not purebred, he have a tail.
Yeah, I've heard that also. Correct. Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
not to realize that Rottweilers are not born docked.
Exactly. but people were so accustomed seeing them without a tail that for them it's the most obvious thing to question. Is like, so why the dog don't have a tail?
Yeah.
You know, why this dog has one? You know. So just like with dobies, with the ears. You know?
Correct.
Because
natural ears.
Yeah. Because people feel that the Dobie looks more fierce with the cropped ears.
Yeah.
And my thing to that is, if you're receiving it on a bite,
it doesn't matter.
Do you care if the ears are upright or hanging?
Yeah. It's just aesthetics.
And the answer is, well, no.
Yeah.
So then why does it matter?
Yeah.
if somebody wants to break into somebody's house or get into somebody's yard, are they less intimidated with the Doberman that's snarling back at them from inside
Yeah.
because the ears are hanging?
Yeah.
Teeth are teeth.
Yeah.
You know, how does it matter? But it matters to your dog
Yeah.
greatly,
Yeah.
right? I have noticed Rottweilers with their tail are a lot better at changing direction.
Correct.
They are a lot better in the water.
Yep.
They are overall more agile dogs.
Yeah. Correct.
They're not as clumsy
Yeah.
when they change direction
Yep.
because it's a counterbalance.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So apart from most European countries, it
Yeah.
being illegal now,
No, yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's a good thing because it was
Yes.
purely cosmetic.
Yeah.
We no longer have Rottweilers pull carts where you have reins and harnesses and all of that where the tail gets in the way,
Yeah.
which was originally the reason why they were docked.
Correct.
You know, but now nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
So there is no reason for them not to keep their tail.
Yep. Yep.
And I prefer a dog with a tail. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yep. It's
Personally, I prefer it.
so Chewy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was my first undocked dog,
Mm-hmm.
right? With the natural tail. And I remembered when I went to purchase him from Nigel Ferguson, who is the owner of the Von Arden House Kennel, right? When I went there with my wife, and of course when we heard the price, this is what she said. She said, if we're gonna pay that amount of money for a puppy, you are not going to cut his tail. And at that time, I was with the old school look, and I was like, oh man, because I was thinking, probably when he's about 3 months, I'll take him to the vet and have the vet cut the tail or whatever. And she said one of the conditions for us getting that puppy is we're gonna keep that tail natural. And at first I was apprehensive about it, but I'm glad that she made that decision, because since then, and after having him with a natural tail, all my dogs that I've bred and that I've gotten are dogs with natural tails. And you
Right.
said it correctly.
They move better.
It's a huge advantage to the dog, I think, than with a dog tail. Yeah.
They're much more agile on their feet despite their weight.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, despite their weight. I see Elena make some directional changes that will have a shepherd dizzy.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I don't have much of a lawn, but yeah, when she went in full run, she does a 90-degree turn, and all you see is some grass flying, but she's making that turn.
Yep.
And I don't think that if she had no tail, I don't think she could make it that quickly.
Yeah. Yep.
Because at the speed that she goes, and some people have seen the video of Elena. There's the video on engagement earlier on our social media page. Anybody who watched that video will understand what I'm talking about. She is insane with her drive.
Yep.
And I love it. I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to have her around. It's she's sitting in front of you and you tell her Platz. You hear her land.
Yeah.
Like pop.
Yeah.
She just pops into the position.
Yeah.
It's a beauty.
One of the things I want to encourage, if anybody's still listening this long into the podcast, and they're local especially, I want to encourage people to get involved in, yes, pet training. I mean, for the most part, a lot of people will want pet training and they'll seek pet training for their dogs, and that's excellent. But when you have I refer to this, when you have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini in your garage, okay, I have it parked up there. It's a nice car to look at, It's
but it's even nicer to drive.
But it's even nicer to drive. And if you have a Ferrari of a Rottweiler or a Lamborghini of a Rottweiler, and you just have that dog there doing normal stuff, you know, you don't get the real appreciation until you take it out for a spin. You know, you take that dog out for a spin, then you really see what the dog is all about.
And what they're capable of.
Yeah,
Oftentimes people don't give the breed credit for what they can do.
yep,
You know, they can do a lot of things.
correct.
And they're very versatile.
All right, and in my program, I've had it. You know, Coco was a narcotics
Yep.
detection dog, the explosive detection. They train in the sport of IGP, IPO, Echo.
Echo, yeah.
Probably one of the most well-known, most resilient, most asked for Rottweiler out there. Very, very social. And this is the interesting thing with Echo. Echo never started like that.
No,
People
he was
don't
not
realize.
social at all.
Echo was
Echo
not.
was very standoffish
Yeah,
when he was younger.
Very, very standoffish
From
when he was
5
younger.
months, he was
And
looking at people in a way.
and it's training and getting them accustomed. Now I could have people taking pictures with him, you know. He's made advertisements, you know, he goes on
Yeah.
school tours and all that stuff. But it takes a lot of work to
That was
get
a lot
dog
of nights
out
training
Yes.
to make that happen.
Yeah.
To shape
a-
him into
yeah.
who he is today.
Yeah. Correct.
A lot of sleepless nights and a lot of
Yeah. And
hours of training.
And I've said this. Some people told me after this, they see like Frank work, for
Mhm.
example. Frank is dog, and they come back and they say, you know, he's actually better than his father. Thinking I would take that as an insult, and I agree with them. I said yes, Frank is a better natural dog than Echo ever was. You know,
Yeah,
he's better naturally.
He is extremely clear,
Yeah,
and I have to say it is extremely clear.
yeah,
And I have the pleasure of working with him
Yep.
in obedience, and I enjoy every second of it. And we have gotten so close that I dare say I have the same relationship with Frank as with Force, with his brother,
nice. Yeah.
that I have.
Yeah.
If you when I go there to do a training session, this dog hugs me.
Yeah.
He runs up on me, hugs me, and presses his head against the chest.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of closeness with a dog that is not yours is rare.
Yeah.
And Frank just gives that freely.
Yeah.
You know, and training does not begin until he gets it out of the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's in a crate, he will cry
Yep.
in the crate.
Yep.
The moment I pull up,
Yep.
you know, his owner has to let him out to get it out of the system.
Yeah.
And then he's all ready for work.
Yeah.
Whether it's me handling him or training him or the owner, that's fine. But he must get that out of the system first.
Yep.
And that's what makes it fun working
Yep.
with him.
Yep.
I enjoy every session with him.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
sometimes I get to work with some dogs who are not like him,
Yeah.
and I count down the days
And-
to his training session.
And then there's the misconception that a dog like that is probably friendly and would not.
Oh, far
And
from
would
it.
not-
But it is something that we, and I say we, those who know you, have over the years come to expect from your dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. The bar
Right?
is set high. Yeah.
There it is. I said it, right?
Yeah.
I don't expect anything less from your dogs. And that is one of the reasons why you're here today, why we have this podcast by you. Because I believe that how your dogs are should be an example for others. And coming from the country where the breed originated, it was very heartwarming for me to see Rottweilers the way they're supposed to be and behave the way they're supposed to behave. Because in the 25 years here, a lot of people brought in a lot of dogs who did not behave like that,
Correct.
who were either overly aggressive or not clear enough in the head and wanted to bite when they weren't supposed to,
Yeah.
and all of this. So that, it's nah, that's not how they're supposed to be. And,
Yeah.
for years I'm looking at dogs. Nah, this is not.
It's not the Rottweiler
This is
know.
not what I know.
Yeah.
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 And then when you started breeding and you brought in Nestor, and I went to the airport with you, and I fell in love with that dog 10 minutes out of the crate.
Yeah.
And I've never stopped talking about him. I always compared every dog to him.
Yeah.
Every Rottweiler that I encountered, I compared to Nestor. And then, you had Echo.
Yeah.
You had the E-litter. And I have the pleasure of having a Nestor daughter,
Yeah.
who in no shape or form disappointed,
Yeah.
in everything that she does and stands for. And now with Echo's son, having him, it just reaffirmed everything for me.
Yeah.
So people ask me, so where can I get a good Rottweiler from? I said, well, I know somebody, but, there might be a litter once every 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you have to be.
and even if there is one,
I choose you. You don't choose me.
there is a process. There is a quite lengthy process
Yeah.
that you would have to go through to be considered.
Correct.
And then you don't get to choose your dog.
Yeah. Correct.
You get chosen,
Yeah.
and then the dog for you gets chosen.
Yep. Yep. That's the way
The
it's
only
done.
thing you get to decide is whether male or female.
Yep. If you wanna make
That is the only decision that's up to you.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, that's how it's supposed to be. And in a lot of places in Europe, that's how it is.
Yeah. Correct.
Right? We are so accustomed here in Trinidad that we go and check out a litter and look at the dogs and then choose a puppy.
Puppy. Yeah. That's what a lot of people.
And a lot of people get the wrong dog. Even when I got Ninja, a German Shepherd from Roger's brother, I more or less had the pick of the litter with the exception of a female, and I was looking for a male to begin with. That Steve's daughter wanted,
Yeah.
right? So he said, but other than that one, you can choose whichever one. And they all came to the front, and they're all drivey and making noise and thing. And in the middle of the chaos was this one puppy that sat there, didn't allow anybody to push him out of the way, but didn't engage in the craziness.
Right.
And sat steadfast in the middle of chaos, staring at me,
Yeah.
maintaining eye contact.
Yeah.
And told him, I said, I want that one.
Yeah.
And Ninja became a narcotics detection dog.
Mm-hmm.
He did his BH,
Yeah.
and
Well, you say that's the best dog ever, no? Yeah.
yeah, but he's getting some stiff competition right now with Force. I must say,
Good to hear.
yeah, it's a close race. I must say, in terms of closeness, in terms of the relationship that I have with the dog,
Yeah.
yeah, he's getting dangerously close.
And that's
You
I
know?
know how you felt about Ninja, and I knew Ninja.
Yes,
And that's big kudos.
That
is
dog
big
was
kudos.
was the apple of my eye.
Yeah.
Right behind my son.
Yeah.
And but Force is getting close. The hair is raising just talking about this.
Yeah.
Because I'm still not over Ninja.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Force is he has some big shoes to fill,
Yeah.
and he's stepping in them.
Good.
He's stepping
That's
in
good
them.
to hear. Yeah.
I must say,
Yeah.
there was some to and fro initially when he was just over a year.
Yeah.
There were one or two challenges, but he has since accepted that, throwing out that challenge does not work out well.
Yeah.
And since then, we did not have any of those.
Yep.
It has gotten to the point where he's not too keen on other dogs. And the neighbor's dog lives above us. There's like a almost two-story retaining wall. And when that dog barks down at him, he has an issue with it. And he goes and he growls up and he hops on the front legs. And once I'm there with him, I always say 9.
Yeah.
And he abandons it and comes back.
Good.
Despite the dog still barking at him.
Yeah.
Without me having to pick him up.
Yeah.
Or without me having to move towards him.
Yep.
Wherever I am and I say that, he comes back to me.
Yeah.
He will abandon that. We're not quite there yet with the garbage truck. But...
That's The garbage truck tend to have a different... it poses a different challenge.
Yeah. And they pick up the garbage close to his favorite lookout place.
Yeah.
So he kind of waits for them.
Yeah.
But but with dogs, even when I have him somewhere, a quick tug on the leash and 9. He protests, but he stops.
Yeah.
Which is a far cry from how he used to be.
Correct.
Where he wanted to have a go at every dog he encounters.
Yeah.
So that he's getting there. He's getting there. He has missed 9 months of training because of the injury.
Yeah.
So it's we have to get him back there.
Yeah.
But I now occupy real estate in his head.
Good. That's important.
I can get into his head, right? I live in his head, so it does not have to be via leash anymore.
All right. Yeah.
And that is a good place to be with him. That is a real good place to be with him. And he enjoys it more too.
Excellent.
Right?
Yeah.
He enjoys it more because even with, as you know, my main dog lives in the bedroom with me.
Yeah.
So he has his pillow. He took over the spot. Not the pillow.
Yeah.
But he took over. I gave him a new pillow. But he took over Ninja's spot.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's all I can say. I can nod my head and say, yeah, he's getting there.
Nice.
He's getting there.
Nice.
And it's fun. I have a tremendous amount of fun with him.
Yeah.
And I love him dearly.
Yeah.
I get close to a lot of dogs that I train.
Yeah.
But when it comes to my dogs, it's on a different level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I hear people migrating and they can't take their dog and I know sometimes circumstances wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
But if it is for a job, I get another job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your dogs are part of your life.
That is
integral part of your life.
After over 4 decades of working with dogs,
you
see my dogs, there's nothing that can separate me from my dogs.
Correct. Yep.
Especially when they're of that quality.
Yeah.
And that behavior, that clearness in the head.
Yeah.
Because even the shepherd Heidi, she's like that too.
Mm-hmm.
She's very clear, very powerful for a small female.
Yeah.
And she bites harder than Ninja did.
Yeah.
And that dog is also very clear.
Yeah.
And occupies a very special place. But yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Got a bit too much into it. But but it's such a pleasure when you have a dog that is bred properly and that functions properly and does all the things that you expect it to. It's a real powerful thing to have.
Yep.
And it's a real powerful emotion behind it because there's people that spend decades trying to get that. I have 3.
Yeah.
And that's a huge privilege.
Yeah.
A huge privilege. And I hear other trainers talk about it, There's Robert Cabral was talking about that.
Yeah.
With his dog.
Yep.
His 3 dogs, his Labrador and his Mal, and you hear Larry Crone talk about that.
Yeah.
You hear Ivan talk about that.
Yep.
When you have those relationships with your dogs, they go deep.
Yep.
They go deep.
They go very deep. Yep.
I remember seeing Ivan doing a impromptu live with a bottle of scotch because Ice got injured.
Yeah. Yeah.
A short time before the World Championships.
Yeah.
You could see the drop in emotion in Ivan's face when he did this impromptu live.
Yep.
And he was just telling people about it.
Yep.
But you felt it for him.
Yep.
You felt it for him. You could sit there and say, gosh, boy, you know.
And with the Sport IGP is a lot of work.
Oh yeah, there's a tremendous amount of training behind it and work and hours upon hours of working with your dog.
Yeah. And then to get there and you have that unfortunate thing.
Ice lives with him. It's not a dog that you just grab from the kennel and that is your competition dog.
Yeah. Correct.
There's more to it than that. You know, you don't win a world championship. You don't become world champion like he has done twice with a dog that, I have it in the kennel.
Yeah.
No. Because that teamwork, that relationship, that has to be on point to get those points.
Yep.
And you could see the devastation in his face. And I felt it for him.
Yeah.
I've never been in that position. But I felt it.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Yeah.
So
well, one of the things about Rottweilers, I think we should touch on just before we finish. All right, is the big controversy about the head. That's I think we can have a podcast on the Rottweiler and not say anything about that.
No, we must mention the
yeah. All right.
And the nose, the muzzle,
and the muzzle. All right. So the fad that has crept into the breed. Especially in this, let's say in the last decade and a half, is where we have Rottweilers now with really large heads and extreme. Well, the stop is where the muzzle meets the eye, right there. So you have what they call a very steep stop or a 90-degree stop. Sometimes even more. It slopes forward with the forehead coming out.
Right.
The muzzle is short and smashed in, and the word that a lot of people use is a pugweiler.
Oh, I use it all the time. Yeah. I'm not holding back on that one
because it looks like a pug, and those are things that are creeping into the breed. But again, when it was becoming more pronounced. Or more widespread in the breed, the ADRK took the stand, and they didn't change the breed standard. That's what sometimes you hear people say the ADRK. They didn't change the breed standard. They just quantified and clarified it because it was always there, right? What they did is they just used stronger language
and took some of the discretion out.
Yes, and took some of the discretion out of it, and that is to preserve the head type in the Rottweiler, which is unique to the Rottweiler, which is what they call a breed type, right? For the Rottweiler, the head is a breed type, right? And then I've heard the argument that some people say the Rottweiler is not a head breed. It's not a head breed only, but it's a head breed.
It's a big feature in the dog.
Yeah, it's a big feature of the dog, It defines the dog. The Rottweiler head defines the dog. And if you have extremities either way, where the head is too narrow, the muzzle too long, or the head is too short, the muzzle too short, the head is too wide, or with the steep stop looking more like a mastiff, and all those things creeping into the breed, it needs to be addressed.
I always say, if you want a mastiff, get a mastiff.
Exactly.
If you want a terrier, get a terrier.
Yeah.
But don't turn the Rottweiler into a mastiff or a terrier.
Correct. And you're absolutely correct, Mark. Yeah.
The breeds are out there.
Yeah.
If you like that type of head, well, get a dog with that head.
Yeah.
But don't try and morph something that took very long to create.
Yeah.
And morph it into something just because of a fad.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Rottweiler, as it is and is described in the breed standard, is a very functional dog.
Correct.
When you have the shorter muzzle and you get troubles with dentition, and it's impossible for them to bite the same way, to produce the same bite force.
Yeah.
It cannot happen. It's physics.
Yeah.
This is not about preference. It's plain physics and biology. It cannot happen.
Correct. To get a bite force. Correct.
The Rottweiler has one of the highest bite force.
And it's because of how the geometry of the head is.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, that's why when I see a Rottweiler with a big head and a very short muzzle, I will forever call them Pugweilers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will not hold back to be politically correct.
And then we have the problem because of the dark coats, all right, the black coats, and the size of the dog. In our very humid climate in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean, and even in the summer times in the temperate countries, the dog, even as the standard, right, they would reach a point in time that the dog will start to overheat
Yes.
and you have to look at that carefully, right? So so much worse it
With a
would
shorter
be
muzzle
for a
dog.
dog with a shorter muzzle.
Yes.
So I've seen the dogs with the shorter muzzle in usually you don't tend to see them in IGP or Schutzhund or any sort of weekend stuff. You don't see videos with dogs with the shorter muzzle much, if any,
Because
with
they can't bite the same way.
but you will
They'll
see
lose
them
points.
in the confirmation rings, right? And by the time the dog takes one lap or 1.5 lap, and I'm sure it's in temperate countries, I'm sure it's between 5 and 15 degrees Celsius, let's say around there. And the dog is panting with the
Yeah.
tongue out like crazy. And the word endurance is in the breed standard also,
Yes.
right?
And there is in Germany a lot of Rottweilers, according to standard,
Yeah.
Rottweilers,
Yeah.
pass the endurance test.
Yeah, correct. The AD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not an easy test to pass.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's a little different.
Yeah.
These dogs with the short muscles can't run the same distance.
Nope.
They can't.
And if there's any change to a breed that helps the breed, all right, that may help a shortcoming in the breed, I could see people looking at it, you know, to probably add it into the breed standard as the case may be. But clearly, the fad that the people have with what we call the hypertype, the fad of the hypertype does not improve the dog.
No.
It doesn't improve.
In no shape or form.
It does not improve the dog.
In no shape or form. Because with that wider and bigger head, you also tend to get the looser eyelids,
yeah.
and then get more eye infections and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
counterproductive.
Yeah. Correct. All right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought
I think-
we should just
Yeah,
touch on
that was a very important aspect of it.
before we.
You know, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Because whenever I see it, I shake my head.
Yeah.
So
I know.
it goes into the archives or the pet peeves.
Yeah.
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
And in podcasts to come, we will touch on more of those pet peeves
Yeah.
because we collect them.
Yeah.
We collected them over the years and decades. So, guys, if you want to check out really good Rottweilers, look up One Head Vanguard Rottweilers. Check out Aaron's pages and check out his dogs. Owning two, I can tell you, they're working.
Yeah.
They use Trinidad slang. They're working. Aaron, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I hope down the road we will do it again
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
and we can go into more detail of the breed
yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get some general
Yeah. And
notions dispelled.
if anybody has any questions, they're free to message you and also message me. You know, if you have any questions, anything you want to clarify, the information is there and you want to access it, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, One Head Vanguard
Uh-huh.
Rottweilers. Look it up on Facebook. You have all the information there. Again, Aaron, it's been a pleasure, especially since we're friends for so many years.
Yeah.
It I wanted to do this badly.
I appreciate it. I
So
appreciate it.
I'm glad we could do it
Yeah.
and you had the time
Yeah.
to do this. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from it
Yeah.
by watching this podcast. And hopefully to the end, even though it's lengthy.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's wrap it up there, and
Yeah.
until next time.
Yep. All right,
All
Mark.
right.
Thanks a lot. You take care.
All right.
All right.